Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to my iridology webinar. So tonight, I'm going to go ahead and talk about how to become a certified iridologist. A lot of interest out there. There's so much interest out there. Not only to become an iridologist and be able to practice iridology, but also clients. It's constant. And I've been doing this since 1987, and so I've seen a lot of change. I've seen a lot of change in iridology, and I've seen a lot of change with clients. In the old day, what I call the old days, long time ago when I was doing iridology, most of my clients were coming in for allergies and bronchitis, or they were just curious, or they had a spot on their skin, or they were constipated or whatever. And now it's big stuff. I just really, really big stuff. So lots of health issues out there. A lot of people need a lot of help. And so if you're interested in that, if you're interested, iridology is for anybody. It's for you, for yourself, for your family, friends, anybody that's interested, it's for. We all have eyes, and, people don't know that they can see things from their eyes. And so, I'll explain a little bit about this, but I'm Brenda. Nice to meet you. And I've been in iridology, like I said, since 1987. I am certified with IPA as an iridologist and as an instructor. We do have a sanctioned school through IPA. I just became a naturopath, so I'm very happy about that. And I work with the Naturopathic Association here in California to help protect those of us that are in the natural health field. And it's not only for California, but it's for the whole United States. So if that's something you're interested in, you can talk to me about that as well. And my website's on there, joyfullivingservices.com. There's my email if you want to send me an email, and contact me at iridology@netzero.net. And there's our telephone number here at the office. So let me go ahead and, first of all, thank you for being here. I know there's lots of other things that you could be doing, and I appreciate you being here. That is a beautiful picture that one of my students sent me. So I've kept that. It's really pretty. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. And my path began in 1983, and I had health issues. A lot of people get involved in iridology because they've had it done. They're interested in starting a business, like maybe some of you are. Some people are ill and they come into it because they want to get better. Then they get better and they want to learn more about it. And that's how I got into it, is because I was sick and I got better and I wanted to learn more about it. And my iridologist said, well, why don't you call down to Dr. Jensen? He teaches. So I did. And hi, Donna. I did. I called down to Dr. Jensen's. I took a class, loved it, stayed, got certified, and started my business the next Monday. And the next Monday, I started getting clients. I started getting referrals from Dr. Jensen's office. And so that's basically when I started my career in iridology. I kind of fell into it. It wasn't a plan. And 2018, I became a member of IPA and an instructor for IPA. I'm now instructor for not only levels 1 and 2, but also level 3. Level 3 is an advanced iridology course. So we've added that on. I'm a certified naturopath through the California Naturopathic Certification Board, and I work on the board for the California Naturopathic Association. I am certified in genomic iridology, so I can work with MTHFR. Probably a lot of you have seen that I advertise about that. I work with that. Been working with that for about a year, maybe a little longer now. I lose track of time. So I see clients all over the world. I do a lot of remote iridology. That's the other thing. You can do remote iridology. When COVID was all over the place and we all had to lock down, I went remote. And, and I never had to stop doing iridology. So iridology can be done in an office like this, like I'm in. It can be done from your home. It can be done remotely. It doesn't matter. All you need is the information. You need to know how to do iridology. You just have to have good pictures that people send you, or you need to take their pictures if you're going to do it in person, and away you go. Okay, my future goals are to write an iridology book, which I had started. I'm hoping to get that out in the next year. And I'd like to become a fellow through IPA, an iridology fellow. That's going to take me a while. So my main mission is to help others to improve their health through iridology, homeopathy, herbs, lifestyle changes, and so on. This image, this is me now. This was just taken at the naturopathic convention I just went to. And this was me. Dr. Pesic sent this to me. This was in 1988 when I was at Dr. Jensen's birthday party, his big, huge birthday party. It was called a Lifetime of Healing, 80th birthday for Dr. Bernard Jensen. And then he had a room where he had all his cameras and we volunteered. So I was in there volunteering to take pictures, and I took pictures on hundreds of pictures of eyes. And so that's a picture that David Pesic took of me. I didn't even know he took it. Okay, so let me go over this. I have to go over a disclaimer that Joyful Living Services cannot be held liable for any misuse or malpractice of any techniques taught within this webinar, nor for any injury, suffering, or distress caused by anyone undertaking the techniques discussed. Everyone attending must accept that they are wholly responsible for their actions relating to the practice of iridology and must adhere to the relevant laws in their country and state of residence. Iridology students are responsible for ensuring that they have appropriate liability insurance for practicing in their country and state of residence. Joyful Living Services cannot be held responsible for any advice given by anyone attending this webinar to members of the public. Attendees must adhere to their local laws regarding the requirement for registration and/or qualification as an iridologist before suggesting supplements or offering nutritional advice. So the goal of this webinar here that I put together is to explain what is iridology, what iridology can and cannot show you. I'm going to explain the iridology chart and go over a few common iris signs, and then give you the steps. You know, if you're interested in becoming certified, if you're interested in becoming a certified comprehensive iridologist with IPA, I'm going to go over the steps for our courses so that you understand what the requirements are to become certified through IPA. Okay. So first of all, what is iridology? Well, I've got three pictures here. And over the years, you know, Dr. Jensen taught that there was blue and brown eyes. And we have learned over the past, through doing research and by working with iridology, that there are actually three iris colors, that there is blue here. This is called blue lymphatic. There's a mixed eye, which is a mixed biliary, and there's a brown eye. We call that hematogenic, brown hematogenic. Each different eye color has its own set of genetic tendencies. So each eye color has its own set of issues, strengths, weaknesses, tendencies. We usually don't use strengths and weaknesses anymore. We mostly call it tendencies. And these are what's coming from mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, great-grandparents, and so on. And so with blue-eyed people, usually blue-eyed people tend to have issues with bronchioles. They get bronchitis, they have problems with sinus, they get mucousy, things like that. Mixed-eyed people, these people here, they have both blue and brown in here. Mixed-eyed people tend to have mostly digestive issues. You know, if they're going to complain about something, it's usually going to be about their stomach, or it's going to be about their colon, or, you know, it has to do with the liver and the gallbladder and the colon, the stomach, the pancreas. They may have blood sugar issues and things like that. Okay, and the brown-eyed people, they tend to have more blood and bone. I find a lot of brown-eyed people are anemic. And, you know, there's a gland issues and so on. So a great thing about iridology is once, you know, you take a look at somebody's eyes, it takes you about 2 seconds to figure out if they have blue, mixed, or brown eyes. Once you know that, you already know their general tendencies. And then you break it down from there. We look at the subtypes. There's so many things that we look at in iridology. And so we can give people a really good idea of where their health issues may be coming from. We've learned over the years, that the iris is genetic. It really doesn't change. And that's a big change from what we used to believe. We used to believe that if you did cleansing, that the eye color would change. So that this would actually turn into a blue eye, and this would actually change as well. And we have learned that really the eyes really don't change. There might be some very small changes, But as far as the eye color and the structure changing, there really isn't very much change at all. So let me go over this. What is iridology? Iridology is a study of the color and the structure of the iris of the eye as it relates to the genetic predisposition and health of the body systems. And the way that it's used is that by looking at the iris of the eye, we can see genetic tendencies. By learning about your genetic tendencies, you can learn what you should eat, drink, what type of exercise you should do, any supplements that might be beneficial, lifestyle changes, anything that may help you to live comfortably in your body.
To be able to pull the trailer through the mountains of the United States.
Hi, if everybody could mute.
Happy life.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody could mute, I would appreciate that. Okay. So, iridology does not name any diseases, but it shows us what areas need nurturing or what body systems need strengthening. So what can iridology show you and not show you? Well, there's a lot of things it can show you and a lot of things that it cannot show you. So it can show you the inherent strengths of a person, and it can show you deficiencies of organs, glands, and tissues. It can show you the potential ability of an organ to react to illness. It can show us familial patterns of various syndromes and pathologies. It can show us certain foods that a person could have difficulty digesting or utilizing. Notice I'm not saying that it can diagnose. We do not diagnose. We're not doctors. We cannot diagnose. Why would we want to anyway? We wouldn't want to because we're not doctors. So we can see these genetic tendencies and we ask questions, lots and lots and lots of questions. Okay, so it can show us areas of the spine that may have subluxation. It can show us potential central and autonomic nervous system imbalances, potential circulatory disturbances, potential connective tissue weaknesses, potential for glandular deficiencies, and for uric acid levels, serum cholesterol levels, and lymphatic congestion. Notice the word potential. You notice I'm not saying that it's going to show you circulatory disturbances, or it's going to show you connective tissue weaknesses, or that we could diagnose glandular deficiencies. Okay, we can't do that. We can show the potential for it. We show the potential for it or the possibility of it. So what can it not show? Well, there are, like I said, it cannot diagnose or give the name of any disease a person may have or have had. It cannot identify pathology. You know, that's for doctors. Can't determine if a person has had surgery. We can't see that. Indicate precise blood pressure levels. That's for a machine. It cannot determine if a person has parasites or indicate the presence of yeast. However, I can say that with sclerology, and there is a marking in the iris that can show us the potential, there's that word again, the potential for parasites or an environment conducive to parasites. And we can see the possibility of yeast, especially if we look in the sclera, which is the white part of the eye. So iridology cannot confirm the presence of viruses, germ life, or bacteria. It cannot determine if a woman is pregnant or has had an abortion, indicate whether a tumor is present or what size it may be, or show if a person has kidney stones or gallstones. Some of these things we can see in the sclera. And IPA, this class that I teach, we do go over some sclerology. So there are some markers in the sclera that we look at that can show us the possibility of some of these things. Okay, so it also cannot give us the exact cholesterol or uric acid levels in the body. You know, that's for tests. Determine if there's hemorrhage, where it's located, unless it's located in the visible layers of the eye. So when you see somebody where their sclera is red and they've broken a blood vessel, okay, it cannot show if the arteries are blocked or hardened, though a potential may be seen in the sclera. So there's another one, okay? And it cannot distinguish the gender or the age of a person, predict a person's lifespan or impending time of death. We don't do any of those things, okay? It cannot tell us if somebody needs surgery or cannot locate a specific tooth that may be problematic. For that, I use Zyto. And Zyto will tell us if there's a problem tooth. It cannot show if a person has ingested poison, been bitten by a poisonous spider or snake. Okay, so these are all things that are for other sciences. So iridology does not diagnose, but instead analyzes or assesses predispositions and genetic inheritance. And it is important when we look at the eyes that we look at the eyes with reverence, honor, and respect, because when we're looking at somebody's eyes as an iridologist, it's different than if I'm just standing in front of somebody and I'm talking to them. And I'll tell you, as an iridologist, it's difficult to stand in front of somebody and just talk to them without looking at their eyes and going, "Ooh, you have blue eyes," or "Oh, you've got mixed eyes, and I already know everything about you just from the fact that you have a blue color eye." Okay, so it's very important that we look at the eyes with reverence, honor, and respect, because we are looking at that person. By the time, when you do iridology, by the time you're done, you know a lot about that person. You know a lot about their personality, their feelings, their emotions. You know a lot about their physical person. You really learn a lot just from looking at the eyes. So, we're very dedicated and concerned with the interest of all who come in contact with iridology. Very important. Okay, so I was going to give you a little teeny bit of history here, just a little bit. So, a lot of us are familiar with Dr. Jensen. We've heard of Bernard Jensen. A lot of people have bought his books. And it's really important to know that iridology didn't start with Dr. Jensen, nor did it end with Dr. Jensen. Okay, so iridology is in Australia, China, Egypt, Greece, India, Italy, Europe, and here in America. And I went online and tried to do some research on iridology to learn more about where iridology actually came from, where it started. And if you're a history person, you can find so much information about iridology online. If you start Googling it and start looking, you'll find a lot. I just put a couple things in this presentation. So in 1922, an archaeologist, Howard Carter, discovered silver plates while exploring King Tut's tomb, and it was thought that the silver plates are some of the first lessons of iridology dating back thousands of years in Egypt. Okay, so this is all the way back to the 18th dynasty. And it was from there that iridology spread from Africa to Babylon, Tibet, China, Europe, and other regions. This is Ignaz von Pestley, and he was a Hungarian. He was in Budapest, Hungary. He was a Hungarian physician. He was known as the father of Western iridology. And probably some of you have heard the story about the owl. There was a story about the owl where this owl got stuck into his tree, and he freed the owl. When he freed the owl's leg broke and a line formed in the bottom part of the owl's eye. And you can see it here, this little line down here in the bottom. Well, they're questioning whether or not this really happened, because they haven't been able to reproduce it. So who knows? Who really knows if it really happened? But the key is here, he did publish a book called Discoveries in the Field of Natural Science and Medicine, a guide to the study and diagnosis from the eye. And so he's the one that built the first known accurate chart of the iris. And you can follow the work. It's actually really amazing if you research it. Here's Dr. Jensen. I'm very proud to say that he was my teacher, and I did get certified by him down in Escondido. He basically pioneered the science of iridology here in the United States, and he developed one of the most comprehensive charts. We still use his chart. His daughter-in-law, Ellen Jensen, she edited it, so that's the one that I will be sharing with you tonight. And she colorized it, and she added more things as they've done research. So before he passed, he asked Ellen, his daughter-in-law, to continue his research. And so Ellen Jensen continued his research. She started the NIRA, which became IPA. Okay, so IPA is still connected to Dr. Jensen. He wrote the book, The Science and Practice of Iridology, and that's a really big book. And it's kind of like, almost like what I call my iridology Bible. So we still use his work. There's been a lot of study and a lot of research since Dr. Jensen, and it will just continue as we go forwards. Iridology is a science just like any other science, and we continue to learn. So here we have in North America, we have three styles of iridology. We have Jensen, so Jensenian iridology. We have RAID, which is called the emotional iridology. That's taught by Denny Johnson. And then Jim Burgess teaches behavioral iridology. So if you're interested, there's so many different types of iridology. If you're interested in learning physical iridology, then you would learn, Jensen, you'd learn IPA iridology. But IPA iridology also includes a lot of the emotional. Level 3, we teach RAID. So we do teach the emotional iridology because under every physical issue a person has, there's always emotion there. And when you work with clients, you're going to be working not only on a physical level, but emotionally as well when you're working with them, depending on what's going on. So I think it's important to work both emotionally and physically. Jim Burgess teaches behavioral iridology. So if you're interested in what makes people tick, why do they do the things they do, then behavioral iridology is really great. And there's canine iridology. There's a feline iridology, so dogs and cats. There's equine iridology, horses. And I have a new customer, a new client in Italy. And I know he's going to watch this video, so I'm sure he'll smile when he hears this. He just sent me pictures of his cow's eyes. So I imagine there's also cow iridology. Okay. So, and that was cute. I really love those pictures that he sent me. All right. So constitutional iridology is basically what IPA teaches, combination of Jensen and European iridology. It originated with Joseph Deck. It's used by MDs in Italy, Germany, and Russia. It has correlated medical studies. We're doing medical studies all the time to prove the different markings in the irises and how they correlate to the different parts of the body. It teaches that the eyes are a reflection of genetic or inherent structure of the body. It's not transitional, it's accumulative. So we gain pigments as we age, which is a lot different than what we used to believe. That's one of the ways that iridology has really changed. It does not give us the answers. It teaches us what questions to ask. So when we look at the eyes, we're not going to diagnose, we're going to ask the questions. And other iris and sclera changes may continue to become visible with time, revealing areas that may need support. Okay, so we use a lot of background information. That's important. So readings are not done cold. A cold reading is like if you go into the health food store and somebody walks up to you or your friend says, hey, can you read my eyes? And you give them some information. That's a cold reading. A warm reading is when you have intake forms and you have history of a person. Yes, cow eye pictures are wild. Yes, they're great. Okay. So let me go over the iridology chart a little bit, and then I'm going to go over some common iris signs. This is Dr. Jensen's chart, and you can see here developed by Bernard Jensen, and it was revised by Ellen. So she did update it. And, I used Dr. Jensen's blue and white chart for years and years and years. And there were issues with the chart that I had, but it was the best chart that I had available at the time. And so Ellen colorized it, and she also added a lot of abbreviations, and she added the zones, and she took Dr. Jensen's brain chart up here, put it up here, and she added information. And so let me just explain this to you just a little bit here. So the way iridology works is just like the body. Okay, the right eye shows the right side of the body. The left eye shows the left side of the body. Set up just like the body is. So in the center of your body is your digestive system. Okay, so here, this green area right here, this is the stomach. This is the pupil. So the stomach is right next to the pupil. Around that, and this is the right side of the stomach and the left side. Around that is the intestines. So you have the small intestines here, come down, the cecum goes across, then you have the ascending, the transverse goes across the belly button, the descending goes down. We have the sigmoid and out. Okay, on the outside of your body, you have your skin. Right? So here's the skin, this dark blue ring. This is the skin out here. Right inside that, this is the circulation and lymph here, this light blue ring. Top of your body, you have your brain, you have your head, your sinuses, right? Okay, so here from 11 to 1, this is the right side of the brain, the right side of the sinuses. Here's the left side of the brain, the sinuses. At the bottom of your body, you have your legs and your knees and your feet, and your thighs and hips and kidneys and adrenals, right? Okay, so down here at the bottom, 6 o'clock, this is where you have the feet and the thigh and the knee and the hips. These are the adrenals and the kidneys and the groin. We have the testes and ovaries and the bladder and so on. And same thing over here. This is the right side, the right leg, the right kidneys and adrenals. Okay. Then out here on the outside, this is where we have the lungs. So we have the lungs, we have the breast. This is the breast here and the ribs. Here's the bronchioles. Same over here. This is the left lungs, the left breast, the left bronchial. This is the heart. Anything that's in the center of the chart is going to be on both sides. I mean, on the center of the body. Anything that's on the center of the body is going to be on both charts. So here's the heart on the left, and then we're going to have the heart over here as well. And then this is the blood here. Okay, so everything else is in between. Here we have the spine. This is the atlas at the very top, the tailbone at the very bottom. And you can see this is cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacrum, and coccyx. Then we have, this is thyroid, and we've got the liver, we've got the pancreas. So when we look at the iris, we're not actually looking at the organs. We're actually looking at the reaction from the organs. Okay, so if we're looking at somebody and we see a marking over here that shows up in this area here that says kidney, we're not going to say, oh, there's a problem with the kidney. We can say that there's a reaction from the kidney. We can't see the kidney unless we go ahead and, put them under surgery and cut them open and look at the kidney. So we're seeing the reaction from that organ. That's what we're looking at. So wherever we see any kind of marks, lines, spots, anything, any whiteness, any colors, depending on where it lands on the chart, that tells us where there can be these genetic tendencies or issues that may have occurred over time. Okay, and so let me show you a few of these little common iris signs, and just kind of give you an idea. So here we have what's called the circulatory ring. This ring is usually kind of a blue color. Sometimes it can be kind of purple. It can be light blue. It can be dark blue. Most people have this ring. It sits out here outside the iris. This is the white part here. This is called your sclera. And so it sits right outside the iris over here on the sclera. And it is known for cold hands and cold feet. It's known for neuropathy, problems with circulation, things like that. Okay. And so that is why it's called a circulatory ring. Okay, so this, we can see that on the outside. And this one is not a real thick one, but we can see, pretty thick rings. And like I said, sometimes they can even be a bright blue color. They can be different. They can be different shades of blue. Here is contraction furrows, and this is my eye. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. So what I said is that I came into iridology because I was sick, and I was having a very, very hard time. So I was in my 20s, and I was dating. So that should explain it right there. Just the fact that I was dating should explain right there how stressed out I was. I was very stressed. I was at the point, I was so stressed that I couldn't eat. And I was just about on baby food. I had really serious digestive issues. I had IBS. I was addicted to laxatives, alternating diarrhea and constipation, breaking out on my skin in hives because of the stress. And I couldn't lay flat on the bed. So I had to curl up to sleep on the bed because my back hurt so bad. At the time, I did meet somebody that I started dating who his uncle was a chiropractor. And so he started giving me adjustments. Oh, that was amazing. So that stopped the stress cycle, and that stopped me from breaking out. And so, I couldn't eat anything. I'd go eat out, and then I just fill up with gas, and I would just be miserable. I went to the doctor, and they said, drink milk and take Rolaids. In a way, that was lucky that that happened to me because I didn't have to go on medicine. Now, today, the way I feel is that I'm so thankful to iridology. I'm thankful to my iridologist. I'm very grateful to herbs because I don't have these problems anymore. And if I had continued that same path, who knows where I'd be today? I'd probably be on all kinds of medicines and who knows. But, I'm very lucky, very lucky. So one of my friends was seeing an iridologist for endometriosis, and she was having good luck. She was getting better. She told me, go see him. So I tried, but he was booked. So he referred me to somebody else, and I went to him, and he just, picked my eye apart. And I thought, oh, I'm fine. And he said, oh, you're not fine. And here's all the things that are wrong with you. But these are all the things you need to do. These are all the herbs to take. And you need to do detoxing, and you need to improve your digestion and all this. And I did it. I did everything he said, and I got better. So the way you see these things in the eyes is here. You can see these rings. Okay, these are called contraction furrows. We know them as nerve rings, stress rings, sensitivity rings, anxiety rings. Okay, these are genetic. These are genetic. They don't go away. People take high doses of B, or they do a lot of herbal teas, or a lot of calming or meditation, relaxation, baths, Epsom salts, all different kinds of things. And that's great. It helps. It helps. But genetically, these stay here. They don't go away. They'll fade, so you don't see them real well. But when somebody's really stressed, they'll get real white. Okay. And so I always have the tendency to be stressed. I always have the tendency to have, that my muscles get tight. So I know what to do. I know to go get a massage, or I know to have a bath, or, I need to say no to things. So I know what to do so that I don't have those same problems. Okay. And so that's where these contraction furrows shows up. We count them. I have a lot. I have 5. We count them, and then we see how many they are. We see if they're white, see if they're dark. We look at where they're going, where they're coming, if they're crossing each other. There's so many things. The other thing is, remember what I told you here in the center. This is the digestive system here. This is the stomach, and the colon is in here. Well, it's dark. This is very dark. See how dark it is? Very dark. Okay, and that means that the digestion's not really great. It's not really great. Definitely wasn't good at that time. Okay, wasn't good at that time. Now, if, I have many pictures of my eyes, and even though my digestion is really good now, it's really good. I don't have any of the problems I used to have. It's still dark. So that is a genetic tendency for me. Okay, that is a genetic tendency. That is where we're going with iridology. We're realizing that just because the body is changing, just because somebody's health is improving, the eye still really doesn't change very much at all. Changes a little in certain ways, but not a lot. Because if I go back and I start eating the way I was eating then, my gosh, in my 20s, and I go back and I start doing the things that I was doing at that time and getting all stressed out like I was, I'm going to go right back and have the same problems, because those are my genetic tendencies. Okay, so that's what iridology really is all about. It's all about learning our genetic tendencies, and then learning how to take care of our body so that we feel good, so that we're healthy, so that when we're 80 years old, we're not walking, crooked with a cane in major pain. Like I see people all the time out there, they're just in pain, so that we know what to do for our body. And so that you can teach your clients or your friends or your family what to do for them. That, to me, that's what iridology is about. It's all about balancing. It's all about balancing the body, helping the person learn how to balance the body. Okay, lacuna, they look like little holes in the iris. And wherever these are in the iris, this tells us an area that may not be absorbing nutrients or releasing toxins as well as it should. Okay, and so then we're going to be working on those areas. We're going to be helping the person to improve circulation, improve absorption, improve their digestion so that they absorb their nutrition, and so on. Okay, we'll be working in those areas. So that is what a lacuna is. And there's open lacuna, there's closed lacuna, there's all kinds of different lacuna that you learn when you learn iridology. And wherever these are, that can tell us where there may be issues. Okay, and maybe these issues may be causing problems currently. They may be having symptoms, or they may not be having symptoms. Just because there's a marking in the eye doesn't mean that somebody's going to have a problem or that somebody's going to have a symptom. It really depends on how a person lives. It depends on what they eat, what they drink, what they think, who they love, how they love, their emotions, how they communicate. There's so many factors that makes up a human being, and how they respond to stressors and many, many different things. Lipemic diathesis. In iridology, we know this as a cholesterol ring. Okay, there's several rings that can show up here. A cholesterol ring, we used to call it a sodium ring, or calcium out of solution ring. So we know this lipemic diathesis. Lipemic has to do with fat, and diathesis has to do with the predisposition to. Okay, so like high cholesterol, high triglycerides, high LDL, low HDL. This ring can also show up when there's high sugar, somebody that's pre-diabetic or diabetic. This ring can show up if somebody has high blood pressure or low blood pressure. This ring can show up if the person has nothing. I have a client that has this ring. I send him for all kinds of tests, and he's got none of it. His blood pressure is good, his sugar is good, his cholesterol is good, everything's good. But both of his parents died, heart attack, stroke. Okay, so they had the health issues. Now he's predisposed to it. He's got the predisposition because he's got this ring. So he's got to be careful, right? If he starts doing the things that he shouldn't do, maybe he will have problems. But so far he has not. Okay, so that's kind of how we work with it. This is a corneal marking. It appears on the cornea and not on the iris. It's not an iris sign. And if we see the sign with somebody that's under 40 years old, then we need to make sure that they're getting medical care, that they're seeing a doctor. And this is a sign of somebody that is aging also. So normally this will get thicker. It doesn't go away. Okay, it usually gets thicker as somebody ages. And this is a pretty good one. You know, they can be just kind of, you can see through them, so they can be opaque, they can be white, they can be yellow, they can be thick like this. I've seen them where they're orange, but they don't go away. Okay, pigments. Lots of different pigments can show up in the eyes. We can have yellow, we can have orange, we can have brown, we can have rust, we can have black. This is one of my clients that came to me, and you can see he's got some yellow in here, he's got orange in here, he's got brown, he's got black. Okay, and so the different pigments, depending on where they are in the iris, mean different things. You know, if the pigment is large, if it's small, if it's in the organ that it responds to. So yellow tends to have to do with kidneys. Okay, orange has to do usually with blood sugar, pancreas, sometimes liver. Okay, brown has to do with liver, and black has to usually do with something that's old. It can be passed down. So when we're looking at these pigments, this can tell us maybe this person needs to do some detoxing. Maybe this person might have some heavy metals. Maybe this person needs to work on their kidneys. Maybe this person might have some blood sugar imbalance. You know, maybe we need to send them for some tests to find out how they're doing. Okay, and so on and so on. Once in a while, I've seen the pigments disappear, but not very much. Usually what happens is that people gain more pigments as they age. I've got a young man who is now 21 who just developed a new pigment. Didn't have it before. I've got his pigments from when he was like 8. And now we've got new pigments of his eyes. He's 21 and he has a new pigment that's developed. So it's really exciting when we can see some of these things develop in the eyes. And then when we can talk to the client about it and say, okay, tell me about this. You know, are you having any problems in this area? Are you experiencing any of these symptoms? You know, and then they can answer those questions and they can confirm yes or no if they are or they're not, and confirm some of these theories that we have in iridology. Okay, scirphorim. A scirphorim is on the outside of the iris. It's on the perimeter over here. Remember what I said, zones at the very outside here, this is zone 7. And zone 7 is the skin, and right inside here is the circulation and lymph. And so what we see here, if you look over here in this picture over here, in the snippet over here, you can see that the fibers of the eye here, the iris fibers, are thinned. They're thinned. You can see how they're thinning. The very back of the eye is black. It's supposed to be black. The very bottom part of the eye. When you're looking at the iris, you're looking at the top layer. This layer here where you see the color, this is the very top layers. And then you're looking down into the iris. So wherever you see something like this that looks like a little hole, this is a little lacuna, you're looking down into the layers. Well, the very back layer is supposed to be black. And you can see here on this eye, it is. This is the very back layer here that we're looking at. And then these are layers that are sitting on top. And so you're seeing what's called a scirphrem. The scirphrem has to do with the skin. It has to do with the, the possibility of the skin maybe not eliminating or detoxing real well, not breathing real well, not doing what it needs to do. The skin is the third kidney. So we'd be working with the kidneys along with the skin, helping the person to improve their elimination, and so on. We used to think that if you skin brush your body with a natural bristle brush for a year, that ring would go away. And we've since figured out that that's not the case at all. It has to do with the thinning of the iris fibers. So it's beautiful. This is really beautiful. This person looks like they outlined their eye with liner. It's really pretty. But we can still improve the skin. We can still improve the ability for the kidneys to eliminate and the skin to eliminate. But this isn't going to go away. It's not like the fibers are going to thicken over here and that marking is going to go away in the eye. Tophi are very common. I can now say that all blue-eyed people have them. That's these little dots. They look like little dots here. You can see this one. I made an error to this one, but they go around there's a circulatory ring and a lymphatic ring, and they go right here in zone 6. These are orange. They have orange pigments. Some of them are yellow. They can be white. They can be brown. Most mixed-eyed people have them as well, and some brown-eyed people have them. Do you recommend software to be used to overlay pictures? You can use software. Yes, we have the Station 5.2. A lot of people use that. And, when you bring the picture into the software, you can click whether it's male or female, right or left eye, and then it'll bring the chart up. And so you can do that. You can also use transparencies, make them to the right size for your screen, because my screen is a wide screen and it's a laptop. So it's going to be different than maybe somebody else that has a desktop. So you can make transparencies and put it right there on the screen so that you can see the different sectors of the eyes. Yes, a lot of people use the software and a lot of people use transparencies. Yep. Because, you can eyeball it, right? You can say, well, this is 12 o'clock and this is 6 o'clock and this is 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. This is 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And, usually after you practice iridology enough, you will get to learn that you're going to see the same thing over and over and over and over again. Really. I see the same things over and over and over again. And you'll learn where most of the markings are and where they show up and what they mean. And you can use those, you can use the software, and then you can really say, and the other thing the software does is if you run the cursor, once you've locked the chart on there, you can run the cursor and like say, for instance, I want to know where this pigment is. You can put your cursor here and down in the corner, it'll say exactly where that is. It might say liver, or, it could say gallbladder, or it could say left lung, or, or duodenum, or whatever it's going to say. So you don't even have to guess. It'll tell you exactly where it is. So, some people like using the software. Some people like doing it by hand. It's, it's all individual. Okay, tophi. Tophi have to do with the immune system. Okay, so, things like lymphatic massage, stimulating the lymph, baths, there's all kinds of things to do for it. But these don't go away. These don't go away. And these, what we notice also is that they can become more pigmented as people get older, as people go through treatments, different health treatments. We see these become pigmented. We see them get darker and change. They can get bigger, they can get wider, thicker, and so on. Okay, so that has to do with the immune system. And the other thing that's really important in iridology is the pupils. Okay, we look at the pupils. We look at the size of the pupils. We look at the shape of the pupils. We look if they flatten. We look if they pulsate. There's so many things that are important about the pupils because the pupils show us what's going on with the nervous system, with the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. And we look at the border of the pupil shows us the spine. That's the other thing that we look at. We look at the border of the pupil here, and that shows us the condition of the spine. So if somebody's having health issues, it may be being caused by subluxations in the spine. And then we look to see if the pupils are normal size, because when we shine the light in the eye, the pupils are supposed to constrict, right? You go into a room like this that has lights, your pupil's supposed to constrict. If you go out at night, your pupil's going to enlarge to let more light in. But when you go in a light room, it's supposed to constrict. Well, if I shine a bright light in your eye, it should constrict, and this person's didn't. So we look at the pupils. Large pupils are usually called mydriasis, and there's also health issues that accompany that we talk about. Certain medications can cause pupils to stay large. And here we have very tiny pupils. This is my father-in-law. So, here he has very small pupils. It's called meiosis. And there are other health issues that can show up because of very small pupils, tiny pupils. And so, they're not supposed to be this small. They should have been, about in here, about a third of the size of the iris. So that's something else that we talk about and we learn about. That's important. And then, of course, there is sclerology. And sclerology is very important. It is taught. IPA teaches sclerology. Well, I should say IPA teaches it. It's part of the curriculum. We have all of us teachers, we all have the same syllabus that we teach from, and sclerology is part of that. So we're required to teach a certain curriculum, and we all teach it based on our own experience. So and we use our own pictures. So these are my client pictures. So with sclerology, what we do is we look at the whites of the eye, and we can see a lot of things in here. We look at the colors, like this one has pink, and you can see some blue, and you can see some kind of yellow in here. So the different colors mean different things. And we look at the dark vessels here, the dark little veins here, and where they're going and what shape they're going, and so on. There's a lot of things to see in the sclera. So there is a class in the IPA curriculum that teaches you sclerology, and we do a lot of that. And it's good because we use iridology and we use sclerology. And there's certain things that you can see with iridology, and there's certain things you can't, but you can see with sclerology. And then they also complement each other. So where I would look at the iris, and then I'd also look at the sclera, and I could see outside here in the sclera, and it would complement the iris. So it's another verification of what could be going on in somebody's body, what might be causing issues. Okay, where the iris is more genetic, the sclera usually shows us what's going on now. Okay, the sclera changes. So if you have a client that has, so like I'll just tell you, pink has to do with environmental. It has to do with allergies and environmental issues, or if they were crying and rubbing their eyes. Okay, that's the pink. So let's say they have allergies, and let's say they come to see you and you suggest homeopathy or herbs, or you suggest that they do colon cleansing or whatever you suggest for them, and it helps them and their allergies go away. They're not going to have pink in their eye anymore. It's going to go away. Okay. And same with the yellow. Yellow has to do with the liver. So let's say they come to you and you see all this yellow, and you suggest that they go on some liver cleansing, or you suggest that they do maybe a gallbladder flush, or they're taking milk thistle or whatever. And then maybe 3 months down the line, you take pictures of their eyes again, and you can see the change. So as the body improves, the sclera becomes brighter, wider, and it changes. Whereas the iris, very, very little change. Okay. The iris really shows us more genetic tendencies, and the sclera really shows us what's going on now. I have seen genetic markers in the sclera, especially having to do with the heart. So, if I see things in the heart areas, the cardiac areas, and I ask the clients if they've had a problem, or their mom or their dad's had a problem, or grandma, grandpa, then that a lot of times that will show up. And that's a predisposition as well. So that's good, because that lets the client know, hey, I need to pay attention to this. If I know that, I have a genetic predisposition to having problems with my lungs, I'm not going to start smoking, right? Or if I do smoke and then I have iridology, and the iridologist tells me, oh, look at this marking over here in the lung reaction field. probably not going to be too good for you to smoke because there's already a predisposition there, and then asking about the parents, and yeah, the parents might have had problems with their lungs. And so that kind of helps the client to see that it might not be such a good idea to smoke, or I'm just using that as an example. That's an easy example. And so the sclera is, it's a very good tool. It's another good tool. Brand medicine, it teaches sclerology. And, if you want to take a full course in sclerology, you can take that from Leonard Melmer. He teaches it with Grand Medicine. IPA is supposed to teach it. They're supposed to teach. I don't know when it's going to happen. They were supposed to, but it hasn't happened yet. So what that'll happen is once they do, then us instructors will get certified in it, and then we'll be able to teach it. But I don't know what happened with that. Level 3 came up, and then we all took level 3 and got certified to teach level 3. And then I haven't heard anything else now about sclerology. But if this is something you're interested in, you really want to dig into it, then, you can check out Grand Medicine and take his Leonard's class. Okay, so let's say you're interested in becoming certified. Let's say you want to become a certified comprehensive iridologist. You want to get involved with IPA, which is the International Iridology Practitioners Association. And these are the steps. So I'm certified with them. I'm a comprehensive iridologist and an instructor for them, levels 1, 2, and 3. So I am able to teach for them. So what I do is I teach the classes, I teach the curriculum, and then you take the test. I'm not allowed, I can't give the test. IPA is a certifying organization. They give the exam. Okay, so this is how to become certified with IPA if you want to become a certified comprehensive iridologist. So you need to join IPA as a member, and that can be done at any time. It doesn't have to be done right away, but it has to be done before you can take your exam with IPA. And it takes time to go through levels 1 and level 2, so you have time to become a member, but that's something that you need to do, is become a student member. It's $65, so it's not expensive to become a member. And as a member, you get their newsletters, and you get to attend monthly webinars at a discount. All of us instructors, we all teach webinars, and we take turns, and we teach, once a month about different topics, research that we're doing, and then that gives you that ability to watch those at discounts. And there's a lot of other benefits to becoming a member. Okay, then you have to take IPA level 1 and level 2. I teach them together. I don't teach them separately. What I do is I teach level 1, and then we take a week break, and then I go into level 2. This is the link to take if you want to take it from me to learn more. You have to have anatomy and physiology. IPA requires you to have IPA anatomy and physiology. If you've already taken anatomy and physiology and you took it from a college and you got a certificate, or you've got transcripts that show that you've passed it, and you want to take this IPA course, then you would need to send me a copy of your transcripts, copy of your certificate, showing the school and the grade that you received. And then I have to send it to IPA to get it approved. Okay. And the exam, they require you to pass it at 80%, which is a B, if you want to be a comprehensive iridologist. If you want to be an instructor like me, then you have to pass the exam at 90%, okay, as an A. All right, so here's a little bit of information on IPA. This is a conference I went to, and I am right there. That's me. So here's IPA's website. You're welcome to go on there and look around. There's, there's iridologists all over the world that are certified. There's instructors on there, sanctioned schools on there. There are webinars that you can sign up for. There's all kinds of information. We just had a symposium that's on there. September, they give a free health summit. And so as a member, you get to attend the health summit for free. It lasts all weekend. It's free. And so, and the biggest thing about IPA is that it feels like a family. Next year, we're actually going to be able to go to the symposium, which I'm really happy about. It'll be the first time since COVID. It's in San Diego, second weekend in February. And they're going to have the symposium both online for people that may not be able to travel, and also in person for those people that want to travel. So I'm going to be there live because I miss being in a room with everybody talking about iridology. I miss that. That really feeds my soul when I'm around like-minded people. You know, it's great. I get to talk to everybody, then we all understand the same language and we share ideas and we learn from each other. And that's really the biggest thing for me about IFA. And we all know each other, we work together, we help each other. It's just a really great support. Ellen Jensen is, you know, she's the one that started this. And so it's still all connected with Dr. Jensen. And UC here was founded for the purpose of increasing and communicating knowledge concerning the art and science of iridology and to provide a forum for the exchange of information and research with the goal of promoting excellent international iridology standards. I'm going to show you the course now, and then you will see why we say excellent international iridology standards, because if you want to get certified, you have to work for it. Okay, it's not going to just be handed to you. There's a lot of work, and I have 2 students that just passed the exam. One just passed the exam as an instructor, so we're real happy about that. And the other one just passed the exam. Actually, 2 just passed their exams as instructors, and 1 passed as an iridologist. And so, you know, they're ready and they're getting going and they're very excited. And so the one as an instructor, she is in Croatia. Okay, so this is all over the world. So Ivana is in Croatia, and she was one of my students. She passed as an instructor. Then I have Crystal, who just passed as an instructor. She is in Idaho. And then I have Care. She just passed as an iridologist, and she is in, I think she's in Texas. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But anyway, so it doesn't matter where you are. If you have a computer, you can take the classes, you know. And if you have a camera, you can do iridology. If you want to do it remotely, you can do it remotely. Okay, so the vision is to see iridology utilized as an assessment tool in all branches of medicine, both alternative and allopathic, and in all countries, and made readily available to every man, woman, and child. This is huge, right? This is huge. But because of the internet, people are able to learn this. They're able to learn this. Okay, here's the course. It's $1,500. We do have payment plans. So we have a lot of people on payment plans, $100 a month, $300 a month. We have people pay for it up front, whatever. It doesn't matter to us. We have a lot of students. We have 3 different choices. We offer 3 choices. We have people take the course completely on their own, by recording, and they never show up to class. They just do it by themselves. We have some people that start like now and then do that on their own and then come into the next class live and do it both ways, do it both on their own and come to the Zooms when they can. Because people have lives, people have appointments, you know, so it's not like you have to come to the Zooms. Everything's recorded, and so you can watch it online if you need to. And then we have the next class coming live is August 8th. That's when it starts. That's a Zoom. So there's lots of choices. Okay, the classes take about 4 to 5 months. It's a process. I had one student take the class completely on her own, all by herself, online, and she completed it in 3 months and passed the exam. She lived and breathed iridology. That's all I can say. It's about 60 hours of instruction, and then there's a quiz for every session, and there's other things that you have to do. The live class runs via Zoom. I teach Tuesday, Thursday mornings, 8 to 10 Pacific Standard Time. That's when I teach Zoom. And we do have study groups. We actually have 2 going right now where students get together and practice together and study together, which is amazing. I mentor, so I do mentoring, and I also help people start up businesses. So if that's something you want to do, you want to start up a business and you need help doing that, and you know, I'm happy to help that. I add that to the course. That's part of what I do. Okay, these are some of the things that are covered in level. Some of the things covered in level 1. You can look at the list there. And each class has a live Zoom session, and it also has a recording, because after I teach the class, I take the recording and I put it in a password protected area where students go and they watch the recordings. That's nice too. If you take a class and then you forget something, you can go back and watch the recording. Okay. Everything has note pages, PowerPoint slides. I put other things in there too. I'll put charts in there, or handouts that I have, different kinds of things that I want to give you as a student. And each section has a quiz. The quiz is done online. You fill it out, you send it in, and I grade all the quizzes. Okay, I grade all the quizzes, usually the same day. The next day you hear back pretty fast. This is topics covered in level 2, so you can see there's a lot here. And level 2, I've added some of my own things like the home health tests, hiatal hernias, brain flare charts. I had a student wanted to learn about the brain, so I did a presentation on brain flare. There's case studies. We do case studies in here, teach about pH testing, food combining, candida, and we're required to teach you how to promote a business. IPA wants you to learn how to do a business, so we teach that. I teach about MTHFR. And then at the end of this class, you have 10 iris evaluations that have to be passed. So that's done, and I provide all that. And there's some other things that go along with this. There again, all of these have the recordings, the note pages, the PowerPoints, and the quizzes. There's probably about 1,500 PowerPoint slides in the class. It's a big class. Okay. Then after that, then you go into what's called what I call mentoring. I've got a student that's just passing level 2 today, and she's going to be going into mentoring now. And so what I do for mentoring is I have quizzes that I give you. There's 10 little quizzes that I do for you. And that's where we find out maybe what you forgot, maybe what you need to study a little bit more of. Maybe I need to help you with something. Maybe you're confused about something, and that's where the kind of tutoring comes in. And this is all included in the fee. This is all included in the course fee. I do all this. At this time, we need to make sure that you've completed anatomy and physiology, that IPA's approved it, and you're good to go, and that you're a member of IPA. So I don't like any surprises. If you go to take the exam and you're not a member and you haven't completed anatomy and physiology, you won't be able to take it. So then you have to go backwards and redo those. So that's something that we kind of keep track of as you go. When you go to take the exam, IPA charges $200 for the exam. You pay IPA directly. That I have nothing to do with that. The exam is online, and you sign up for it. You have 5 days to study. Patty sends you the link. You go in there, you take the exam, and they want you to pass it, like I said, 80% to be certified, 90% to be if you want to be an instructor. Okay, and now there's level 3. So after that, if you're interested in learning advanced techniques, you can take level 3 when I teach it or when somebody else teaches it. Here's information on the AMP, on the anatomy and physiology, and I've already talked about it. This is a IPA approved anatomy and physiology course. It's on our website, and so it does teach anatomy and physiology based on iridology, so that's good. It gives you more information, and there's the link. Cost is $360. It takes about maybe a week to 2 weeks to take the class. It's not huge. It's not like really hard where it's going to take you months. It's not bad. Most of my students that have taken it have said that it's not bad. Not bad. Okay, and so there's the information. I really appreciate all of you attending today. And there's a lot of people, like I said, there were 74 people that signed up for the webinar. And I know there's a lot of people in other countries, a lot of people in other time zones that weren't able to attend this webinar tonight. They'll all get the recording. So the upcoming class, the live class, which is level 1, level 2, is going to start August 8th, which will be here before we know it. It'll be here. And that'll be Tuesday, Thursday, 8 to 10 Pacific Standard Time. It's all going to be recorded. It's all going to be available. And registration is open. So if you want to learn iridology and you want to start today, you can. You sign up. You start by recordings, and it's all recorded. And you can come in August if you want to review, or you don't have to. You can if you want, or you can wait till August, whatever you want to do. We have 2 links. This link here is to pay in full. If you want to pay up front so that you don't have monthly payments. If you want to do a payment plan, you put $100 down, and then you just let us know what you want to do. We're very flexible. This is my email and my phone number. And these are some of the other things I do. Level 3, I have done private classes, group classes, and I do mentor. I have a couple people that I mentor on the side and tutor. So let me stop the share. And let me see if there's anybody has any questions. So if you have any questions or comments, you can unmute if you want to introduce yourself. Or hello, Charles. I didn't get to say hi to you before. And Donna, I didn't get to say hi to you before either. Anybody have any questions, comments?
Hi, Brenda.
Very little. You can count that? Yeah. Put in a little bit here. This is very fine.
Iridology level 3. When does that start? It starts when I have enough students that are interested. So I don't have one scheduled. I don't have one scheduled right now.
Here we can use this for storage.
Yes, and that's exactly what I was thinking.
You're welcome. Anybody else have questions or comments?
A great presentation, Brenda.
Thank you. Well, now you know. So now,
Yes.
you know, you had questions earlier, and now you know, I think I've answered all those questions.
Yeah.
You know, in the old days, I mean, when I took the exam, it was on paper, and the exam, I had to pick a mentor, a proctor. The exam was mailed to my proctor, and then I sat in her dining room by myself and took the exam and gave it back to her, and she mailed it back to IPA. So that was on paper. Now it's all online. It's so easy. It's just online. You get on there, it's timed. You know, you got 4 hours, and it's open book. Everything is open book. That's the other thing. So it's all open book. You can have your books with you. You can have your binders with you, your charts with you, everything. It's it makes it really easy with everything open book. Question: any recommend equipment needed to start iridology levels in level 1 and 2? Okay, equipment, you need the chart. So you're going to need the iridology chart that I showed you. That's Ellen Jensen's chart, and that's available on our website. And there's 2 different sizes, 8x10 and 11x17. You can choose which size you want. And then I suggest everybody get a 10x magnifying glass. You can get it from us on the website, or if you have a camera store near you where you can go and get a good 10x. If you don't have one, you'll need one, especially when we get into level 2, because we do a lot of case studies, and you know, we're looking at the different markings in the eyes, and you know, you might need a magnifier, and you might need it with a client. So that's it. Those are the 2 things you need for the course. You need the chart, the current chart from Ellen, and you need a 10x mag if you don't have one. That's it. You don't have to have, I mean, you can see behind me here, I have that's Dr. Jensen's chart there. And then that's a sclerology chart right there. Well, that's the opposite. Sorry, that's the iridology chart, and that's a sclerology chart. And then I have the camera behind me. This is the camera that I use. That's the iridology camera I use. That's the SD804. But you don't have to have a camera. You know, you can use your cell phone. We have the new little adapters, the little cell phone adapters that people are using, and those are working out really good. But the only thing you need to spend money on is, and then of course you have to pay for A&P. You have to have anatomy and physiology sometime in the course. It doesn't have to be right away, but it needs to be done sometime if you haven't already taken anatomy and physiology. That's it. Any other questions? You're welcome. Okay, no other questions, comments? So I will go ahead and convert the video. I'll convert it and I'll send it out. So you'll all have the recording. Will a Canon 7D work? It should. I don't know much about that camera. Are you talking? But you know, you can always, if you have it, you can take pictures and send them to me, and I'll look at them. What the key is, you want the quality that I had. You know, I showed you the quality of the pictures. You know, the camera that I use here, these pictures, I can put them up on the screen and I can enlarge them. It just really depends on what you want to do. If you want to, if you're going to do research like I do, where you're, enlarging the picture and looking down into those lacuna and really looking at the pupillary border and looking at these things, you're going to want to be able to use something where you can enlarge the picture and it doesn't pixelate. If you're not, you're just going to be doing simple iridology, looking at people and helping them. You can use your cell phone, you can use an adapter, it's, and the adapters don't cost much. So, or that camera that you have, maybe that'll work. You just want to make sure you get nice, good, clear pictures, clean pictures. Anything else? Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. Is this equipment on your website? Yeah, everything's on my website. The little adapters on the website, it's under, if you go under iridology, you'll see it there under cameras, and the SD is under there. There's also another little camera under there as well. Everything's there. Yep, everything's there. Okay, so you all know how to get a hold of me. If you have questions, if you want to sign up for class, you want to get certified, let me know. I'm happy to work with you, and we'll go from there.